I can cut this beginning part out. Okay. So, what is a basic description of OxyContin?
Oxycontin. It is the same thing that they end up giving to cancer patients, and it's the strongest opioid that is actually prescribed by a medical doctor.
Okay. How did you become introduced to this drug?
Started off, I was taking a different type of painkiller that stopped working as well. And then I ended up taking another one, and then Oxycontin was the next step up. And it was the only thing that would actually work anymore. The other two wouldn't even work.
So, how did you even get prescribed pain pills in the first place?
I had to have 3 root canals done started when I was 24 years old, and first one didn't hurt that bad at all, and then the second one that he did, it was a lot of pain, and I kept saying it was hurting, and he prescribed me 10 milligram hydrocodones, which is the highest level of hydrocodone that you could get, and I ended up taking every one of them, and I knew something wasn't right. So I called him back, they did an x-ray, and it's because he didn't do the root canal the right way. So that's what was hurting so bad. And then the next one, my brain was telling me, hey, you need more of those pills because that's what made you feel better. And he kept on prescribing them to me more and more until I built up a tolerance to them, and my brain was telling me I had to have them, and I became physically addicted and mentally addicted to them.
So, how did it make you feel? What was it that kept making you want to take it?
That's the thing with most people that do get addicted to pain medicine, they don't seek out that feeling. They just it gives you a euphoria. For most people that don't get addicted to them, that's why it says on the bottle, may cause drowsiness. I never felt drowsiness. It made me feel like I was Superman and that I could get anything done in a short period of time. But when I look back, I realized that everything I thought I was doing really good at, I was doing about as half as good as what I could have if I wasn't taking it.
How did it affect your family or social life?
It never really affected my family because I was always blessed enough to make good money, and I did a good job of hiding it, even though everybody kind of knew something was up. Socially, I didn't want to do anything. Everything revolved around those pain pills because if I didn't have them in my body, my brain and my physiological self, like I said a while ago, I had to have them, or my brain had retrained me to think that I had to have them in order to be normal. But I hid it pretty good, and so it really didn't affect my family because I was always still there and still being a good dad, but it was heading that way quick if I didn't stop.
This kind of ties into what you just said. Did it affect you financially?
It was getting there, but again, if I had not been blessed to make a really good living, to where if I would have been like most of the people at my age then that were making a normal American dollar, an average salary, it would have. I was still able to pay all my bills, never missed a payment, never missed a car payment, or my family never went without groceries, but if I would have kept on doing it, it was going to be there pretty soon.
Okay. When did you decide to quit and why?
I woke up on a Sunday morning, and I was always raised in the church, and my parents did a good job teaching me right from wrong. And I finally, one day on a Sunday morning, I woke up and I was out. I was going to go have to try to find some from a friend or see if I could get some from somebody, and I realized that this was not me. It's not what God had planned for me, and that if I did not quit, that I was going to end up not being good financially. I wasn't going to have a family. I wasn't going to have a social life, and I wasn't even going to have a job where I could even support myself anymore. So I got down on my hands and knees and I made a deal with God, and I said, if you'll help me get through this, I will never let another one enter my body, and I have not since, not once.
Did you have withdrawal symptoms?
Oh yeah, they were bad, very bad.
What
You
were
want to
they?
know what they were like?
Yeah.
It was, you could not get comfortable, couldn't eat, you weren't hungry, your stomach was constantly cramping, you would have these terrible night sweats when you try to go to sleep, and I had forgotten what it was like to be happy without the use of some type of opiate in my body. And it was a good week before I ever even felt halfway normal, and it was a good 2 weeks before I could just go about my day. But then the mental was still there of, if you take this, you'll feel better. If you take this, you'll feel better. And I just remember that deal I made with God and said that I'd never take one again. And yeah, anytime I think about ever taking one again, or if I've had anything medically done that causes a lot of pain, I remember those withdrawals, and I remember how bad it was. Whenever people say they've had the flu really, really bad, I've never had the flu, knock on wood, but people say that they've had the flu really bad. It's like that for about a week straight, if I could compare that to it.
This is the last question. How long has it been since you've come across like Oxycontin or just an opioid in general, and how do you use that story to your advantage today?
Great example. Well, on part A of that question, almost a week ago today, I had some dental work done on one of my front right two teeth, and one of them I had a root canal done on years ago, and he had to do some work on the gum line, and he got out a prescription pad and said, "Now you're going to be hurting tomorrow, so I'm going to write you a prescription for pain medicine." And I said, "No, you're not." And he said, "But you're going to be hurting." And I said, "You don't understand. If you give me that, you're gonna throw away years of sobriety for me. So I don't want them." And he said, "You really don't want them?" And that's the big problem. Doctors keep trying to give them away to people that even say they don't want them. So part A of what you asked, that's an example of how I use what I went through to not do it. I'm not going to let it ruin years of sobriety. And what was part B you said?
I asked how long has it been since you've come across one or like taken one?
November the 18th of 2007 was the last time one of those went in my body. So last year on November the 18th was 10 years. So November the 18th of this year will be 11 years since I've had one in my body. And that's why you don't ever remember it, because you would have been 2 or 3 years old at that point.
And
Oh, and you ask how I've used it to help people?
yeah.
I wear it on my shoulder. You know, I never got in trouble with the law. Still never have had a speeding ticket to this day. And I know now that that was God watching out for me. But I also know that, you know, I'm not proud by any means of what I did. I mean, I was getting them all through the dentist and a couple people that I knew that told me that they had them. That was wrong, but luckily I never got in trouble. But again, I'm not proud of anything I did, but I'm not ashamed either, because I can start naming off 50 different people that I have helped and made them realize that there is a life after this, and that there's always a bottom. You know, luckily my bottom was waking up and realizing this is not me, it's not how I was raised, I can beat this, and I did it. But there's several people that they just don't know what it takes to get past it or to work through it. And it's just a lot of hard work. And for me personally, it was God helping, and sometimes that's not what it is for some people. But I always tell them that there's going to be a rock bottom, and either that rock bottom's going to be them realizing I got to quit doing this, or it's going to be death, one of the two. And I've seen a lot of people not come away from it. I've seen a lot of people that have come away from it. More people have come through it than not, but I'm not ashamed of it. If I can help one person realize that it's a problem, and that's the huge issue. Most people don't want to say, hey, I've got a problem, and they want to quit for somebody else. They want to quit for their wife, they want to quit for their kid, they want to quit for this. You cannot quit for anybody but yourself, because if you're not right, you can't make anyone around you right. And when I realized that I got to get clean, I got to quit taking this crap in my body, then everything started, making sense around me, and everything's been great since then. So now I'm not ashamed of it, but I'm definitely not proud of it, and I'm glad I've been able to help the amount of people I have. We run a support group at our church called Lifeline that you're familiar with. It's also called CASA, Christians Against Substance Abuse, and we help people all the time get through it. So, but it's again, for me, it was God, and realizing that that's not what I needed to do with my life anymore. And I'm just glad I can help the people that I've helped.
Okay, that's good. What are opioids?
Opioids are a pain medication that people get prescribed to help alleviate their pain symptoms.
Okay. What are the long-term effects of Oxycontin on the body?
So some long-term effects would be developing a tolerance and becoming dependent on it. It also can cause abdominal distension, constipation, respiratory depression that can lead to liver damage, brain damage. So it can affect pretty much the entire body.
Okay. What is the maximum prescription of Oxycontin that is given?
I don't know maximum, but I know for us in the ER, we do, usually if someone comes in and they're complaining of pain symptoms, to the extent that we feel like opioids or any of those painkillers are a possible drug that we could give, we usually do, to start off, 4 milligrams, and then depending on if that helps, we'll kind of cut back, or we start slow and work our way up so that we don't cause those problems.
What kind of surgery would you have to be prescribed Oxycontin?
It is a wide range. We have people that don't even have to have surgery as long as they're showing those pain symptoms that we feel like they could benefit from having those drugs.
What are some of the injuries that you see and then you prescribe Oxycontin?
Broken bones, some lacerations that are going to have to be stitched up. They may do an oral or an IV pain medicine, and then they'll numb with lidocaine before they stitch it up.
Are there a lot of people you see in the ER that are addicted to Oxycontin?
Yes and no. There are some people that really do need it, and we do give it whenever we feel like it's necessary. But there are drug seekers that will come in, and they are solely looking for their next fix to try to, get their tolerance or get what they need so that they can continue their daily life.